Yes, good girl. Yes, good girl. On a loose leash part 2. It's hot as fuck right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and show you everything, and then I'll go ahead and do the voiceover afterwards. I know it's gonna be at a hoodwink, but it's hot as fuck, so I want to get this done. All right, go on. Yes, good girl. Together. Together. Good girl. Come. She is so used to doing a focus heel out here that I was hoping that she would fuck up a little bit, so get some corrections, but honestly, she is doing pretty good right now. Biggest thing when it comes to the loose leash is you gotta do the opposite of what the dog is doing. So if they're going forward, you gotta go back. That's why you gotta do those about turns. With Ava or any kind of high drive dog, if they are starting to get forward and want to cut you off, you have to do a quick turn. Go ahead and swing that foot around, get them back in line with you. Otherwise, again, you're gonna start tripping over your dog. When you're turning, remember, just like with the collar last time, wherever the collar goes, that's where they go. So if they start getting ahead of you, start pulling the collar back towards the tail, and that'll get them back going the other way. So again, getting themselves out of that pressure. So when you're making sharp turns, that's the best way. If they're still going forward, start going back towards the tail, and that'll get them back in line, along with swinging that foot. Also, for dogs who really want to go forward, slow down. Again, do the opposite. They're wanting to go fast and forward, slow your paces down. Sometimes you saw it, maybe you can see it on there. The dog is going a little slow behind you. Ace wouldn't typically do that. He'll typically kind of drift behind me. That's when you got to do the opposite with the collar and start pulling them up towards you. So this way they're starting to play catch up. Break it up, do zigzags, go every which way. Anything other than just going back and front. That's easy for at first, but eventually you gotta break up the boredom. May only have to do this for the first few weeks, just up and down your street, because again, you're just learning, they are just learning how to properly walk on the leash where it's not too many distractions. Shit, what was I just gonna say? I don't know, I'll come back. all about the timing when you do the pop. So if they're getting wary in front, again, you have to do it right before there's full tension on the leash. If there's tension on the leash, you're just pulling. You gotta get a pop on the collar and on the leash. If you can't get the timing, just fucking stop walking, okay? Just stop walking. The dog will keep walking, they'll pull themselves, and then they'll fall back in line. Last thing you wanna do is just constantly pull, because then they're gonna fight you, but you need a pop, you need to get their attention. So again, if you can't time it perfectly just yet, just fucking stop walking, and they'll pop themselves. And as always, keep giving them treats. So mix it up which way you go, whether it's an about turn where you walk into them or you go the other way. Go around different objects, walk around your fire hydrants, trees, different things like that. But again, start small where there isn't a whole lot of distractions, there isn't a whole lot of smells. Mix it up with speed, walk slow, walk fast, zigzag, go which way, because again, you gotta keep the dog's interest on you. Because if you got a high drive dog or a dog that likes to check out, they're easily to just wander off. So you got to keep their interest, and that means keeping them moving. If you get really frustrated where they can't walk on leash because there's so much going on, just go back to the basics of yesterday. Start with leash pressure, start with just getting them into positions, and that is it. And again, don't beat yourself up if you can't do a whole mile, and you can only do a few feet, because again, they're using their brain on how to walk. So even though they may physically may not get winded, mentally they will be, because they are constantly being challenged on where you want them to be, so therefore they have to think. And definitely don't do what I did the other day and hold the fucking leash out here as you're making turns. I don't know what I was thinking. Like I said, maybe it's just so you could see everything, but keep it right here. So this way it's your center of gravity is right here at your chest, and that'll keep them where they want to be. So if they start pulling you any which way, you have a stronger position right here than out here, and you might rip your arm or your rotator cuff, and that's the last thing you want. Huh. Just keep them moving. They can't get into too much trouble if you keep them moving. Go. And reward. When they do something well, you stop, they sit, reward. Come on. To start the walk, I just say together or come on, something simple. If you want to say heel, that's fine. Heel is just kind of a position if you want to use right by your leg. I just say stay with me. Again, teach their own. Don't overcomplicate it for them, okay? Just as long as you're consistent. They start getting too far and forward, go ahead and start sneaking backwards, kind of like I did there. As they may be doing something, looking at something else, but rather than stopping, or you just want to do something else to change the dynamic of the correction, so to speak, just start creeping backwards and then boom. Okay? But as you see, all of the corrections is very, very soft. I'm not yanking her, I'm not pulling her. I'm just mildly a little tap tap because she knows which way the pressure is coming from, and that's all you need, okay? Especially with your typical dog who's maybe a little softer, you don't need a harsh correction. Stronger dogs, depending on the situation, Ava may need a stronger correction. Ace definitely doesn't need a strong correction. Come on. They get really excited, just keep doing those bow turns, walk into them. Maybe do 3 or 4 of them, just so this way they understand the position is back and around you rather than getting in front. I go ahead and I'll be transparent as always. I literally let them sniff, not a whole lot, but I do let them sniff just because I don't want them to be too stingent on the walk. I want them to enjoy the walk. I don't want them to think it's very, militant where they can't do anything. They do look at squirrels, they look at people, they look at dogs. As long as they don't get zoned in on one particular thing, it's okay. As long as they don't get into drive and go after it, because I correct it before that happens, so you got to pay attention to your dog. So don't be on your phone. If you want to listen to a book, fine. Listen to music, fine, but pay attention to where your dog is looking, because if they're zoned in on one particular thing, guarantee you they're going to go after it, and then that's where the correction needs to happen. Come on. The type of leash, either use a 6 foot, 4 foot one. I've used 10s before, especially when they're first learning how to walk on a leash. It is in their benefit to understand they are allowed to walk at the end of the leash. So depending on how long you got it, you may close the line a little bit, but just let them know they do have the right to be at the end of the leash as long as they're not pulling. So sometimes you will see people, and occasionally mine do it, they walk in front of me, but again, they're not reactive, they're not doing anything, they're still obedient. I would use a handheld leash, just walking a dog around a neighborhood where there's people. If you're like in the woods or doing something like a hike and you want to use a retractable one just to give your dog a little bit more freedom, fair game, as long as they're controllable. That's the end result. I don't care which one you use, as long as you got control over your dog, it's fair game. Here you go. All right, but that's the majority of it. The biggest thing is just understand the timing of the pop. If they get too far in front, stop before there's actual full tension on the leash. Keep it loose. If you're on the left-hand side, make sure you're able to swing that left arm, because that makes you understand the leash has to be loose. You can't swing your arms if the leash is tight. Okay, so go ahead and make sure you have a loose leash. If it's already tight, loosen up, relax, just keep walking your dog. If you can't get the timing for the pop correct when they need it, just fucking stop walking. Again, they'll pop themselves, they'll understand the picture, get them back in line, start the game over. Again, don't beat yourself up if you only can do, 4 or 5 feet. You're just going back and forth until they get it. Then you can start doing more duration, building up to a mile. Focus on what they're focusing on. So again, if they're looking around, check out sights, smells, fine. Make sure they're enjoying the walk. That's the biggest thing, as long as they got enjoyment, and that's understanding that just because they have a collar on and a leash on doesn't mean they're in trouble. It just means that they got to understand what the purpose of that's for, and that's making sure they have understanding that when it's loose, excuse me, it is fine, they are comfortable. It's just when they do something wrong, there is a slight correction or punishment, however you want to word it. Gonna get out of here because it's getting hot. She's already getting tired, and I'll finish up with some typical questions about leash walking, excuse me, at the end of this. All right, done. All right, gonna do a few more common questions that a lot of people have while walking their dog, especially on a loose leash. Again, hopefully you can see me because the fucking sun is bright and my allergies are killing me. I'm just walking back and forth in the backyard because I finally did a leg workout after 5 months. On my foot, my legs are fucking sore. So between sore ass legs, getting fucked in the ass on, allergies, I'm just a beacon of health right now. But a few common questions that a lot of people have when it comes to walking a dog on a leash is just how to start. So I would go ahead and suggest when you leave your house, put your dog into a sit, and then start your walk with, heel or come or let's go together, any of those words, just so, again, like you said, just being consistent with it. As long as you know what it means and they know what it means, it's fine. Because again, when they leave, you just don't want your dog to run straight out, act crazy, and then go in front of you. Okay, so default them to obedience, and then into a skill, the skill being just walking on the leash. Okay, and then when you walk back, get to the house, get to your front door, put them into a sit, and then I'll give them a ton of praise for if they did a great job or if they didn't. Just give them a ton of praise, just because they're going to enjoy walking outside a lot more. Okay, and then you can open the door and go inside and let them in and do all that. Another one I would say, and again I would say I didn't do during the actual video itself, just because, again, watching Ava, thinking about what to say, what I wanted to cover, is talk to your dog. Okay, tell me being good boy, good girl. Aren't you, Ava? Good girl. Good boy, Ace. Ace, in case Miss Ace. Speaking of allergies, Ace is getting itchy, so need to get his shot. No, so this way, again, if they're walking on the leash, and they're doing a great job, talk to them, praise them. Again, if they look up at you, you can give them a treat, you can give them a pat on the ribs. If they get too excited because of your praise and they start launching forward, I wouldn't correct it. I wouldn't correct a praise like that. I would just next time just tone down the praise, so this way they don't break and want to go even forward and get too excited. Okay, just tell them they're doing a great job, pat on the head, maybe skip the pat on the side if they get too crazy and they want to lunge forward. But if they do it, so what? I just wouldn't correct it. Okay, just because I wouldn't want to go from telling them doing a great job to immediately yanking them back into submission. The other one, because this one happens a lot here in Florida, is if you are out training your dog or walking your dog and it's getting hot, they're tired, they're getting thirsty, and then on the way home, that's when they start lunging forward. And you want to correct it. More times than not, they just want to get back home because they are tired and want to get something to drink. So I wouldn't correct it as long as they are not pulling on the leash. Again, I wouldn't, as long as they're not pulling you or pulling the leash and like dictating where you want to go, it's okay. I don't know what Ace is yapping at, but again, I would just let it be and then just get back home a lot quicker, so this way they can relieve themselves and get something to drink and cool down. And when it comes to actually walking forward on the leash, I'm not that harping on it. I know everyone's like, form Nazi, knee to knee. That's just, good behavior. It's a good position because the dog really can't get in trouble. They got to focus on you. If they're forward a little bit, okay, as long as they are not pulling on the leash and pulling you, causing them to get into drive or to get them in danger or hurting you, it's pretty much okay. Again, this is just more of a middle ground. If they're doing that, gotta go. If they're going from one extreme, go to the other. If they just happen to be really relaxed and chill right next to you, so be it, because they're happy right there. Again, don't overthink it. Walking your dog, like I said, kind of fucking boring, but it is a great time to, the act of it is really fucking boring. I mean, you can see me, it's just kind of boring just walking up and down. But again, you're spending time with your dog. It's a great way to bond with your dog. So talk with them, enjoy that time with them. I just use that time to usually put on an audiobook or, music. I'm just getting my steps in. I go with them. But the actual building of it, the discipline of it can be fun. Just enjoy it. Don't overthink it. It's really about it. Just like any skill is, you just want to have to do it repetitively over and over so they understand it, and you're just building up that skill set. They will have the will set just because they need to and you want them to, and they get something out of it. They get enjoyment out of it because they are not getting frustrated. They are not beating themselves up. They're enjoying your company because you're their owner. They love you, you love them. So that's it. Keep doing it, and again, over time your dog will be fine, you will be fine, and you'll keep wanting to walk with your dog and create that bond, because again, that's what it's all about, is just creating a stronger bond between you and your dog. And with that and a strong skill set, you'll have a strong dog. So good luck. Talk to you next time. Done.